Redline Logbook here, and I have a Danmachi theory about Hera, and that she is going to return to Orario for Belle. Spoiler warning ahead. I am a light novel reader, so what I'm about to talk about caught up completely with the light novels. So if you're an anime only or other, do not, and I repeat, do not watch this video if you don't want to be spoiled. But yes, I believe at the end of the next volume, volume 18, there's going to be an epilogue where Hera hears about what happened in volume 18 and is going to say, alright, now it's my time again, and she's going to return for Belle. Well, why do I believe that? Well, I guess I gotta start from the beginning about who is Belle. Now, everyone knows that Belle was raised by Zeus as his grandson, adopted grandson, but the reason for that is actually quite simple. Belle is literally the last of Zeus's familia. He is also the last of Hera's familia. How can you be the last of two gods' familias? Did Belle get a blessing from Zeus and then get erased, then Hera blessed him, or reversed, and then finally came to Hestia? No, he was not blessed by either of them. His parents were. So we learn about who Belle's parents are at the end of, other two sources. The video game, Dawn Memo, Astrea Record, or the light novels that have just come out, Astrea Record. If you speak Japanese. If you want to read them in English, you're going to have to find a fan translation online, which I have not been able to do. So you can just go to YouTube and just watch the Danmachi Astrea Record. That's what I did. So, at the end of either the third novel or the third part of the video game, we learn about who Belle's parents are. His father was blessed by Zeus, and his mother was blessed by Hera. Now, those of you who've read or seen the anime of the fifth novel, which is the one where Belle kills the Goliath, at the end, Hermes announces who Belle's grandfather is. He's Zeus. And he basically says, Zeus, you said your grandson had no potential. The reason why he said that is because both of Belle's parents literally had no potential. His father was a supporter in Zeus's group, and not even a good one. He was constantly running away. He was a coward. He would easily get beat up by other adventurers or even just wild boars. He was a weakling. But Zeus liked him because the two of them were perverts who used to peep on women while they bathed. So that's how they got along. That's how he joined Zeus's familia, being a pervert. As for Belle's mother, she was born sickly and dying constantly. There was no saving her, basically. But she was such a kind and loving soul that Hera just couldn't watch her die without trying to do something. So she blessed her with her fauna to try to extend her life as much as humanly possible. Obviously, Belle's parents fell in love, and they ended up making Belle. Now, his father was killed by a monster. We don't know what kind of monster, but it doesn't really matter. He was weak, so he's probably just killed. As for his mother, well, after the Zeus and Hera familia were decimated by the Black Dragon, she basically took newly born Belle to Zeus. She had a choice. She can either take her to Zeus or to Hera. She chose Zeus. And of course, we all know the story of how Zeus raised Belle. But here's the thing. Before the incident with the Black Dragon, the Zeus and Hera familia were the most powerful familias in the history of Orario. In fact, the history of the world. The captains of Hera's familia was a level 9, and the captain of the Zeus familia was a level 8. Their familia were just powerhouses. So when their familias were decimated, this gave Loki and Freya the opportunity to drive the two gods out of Orario forever. Or at least that's what they think. Now, Zeus basically accepted the fact that he was driven out of Orario and he can't come back. He was happy to raise Belle basically as his last heir, the last member of his familia. Hera, on the other hand, I don't think that she would agree with that. Because here's the thing. Freya hated Hera more than she hated Zeus. Once again, we learned this in the Astrea Record. Freya is the queen of Orario, but Hera, she was the empress. She was the undisputed greatest goddess alive. Now, obviously, Zeus has been hearing stories of Belle and all he's done so far, because, he's kind of world famous at this point. He leveled up to level 4 in less than a year, which means Hera probably also knows about the exploits of Belle, and there's a high possibility she knows who Belle Granella is. My guess is she still has to have connections in Orario, just like how Zeus has Hermes, which means she has to know that Belle is her grandson. This is why novel 18 is so important. It comes out next month, January 2023. Well, in Japanese at least, is going to be a massive war game. In novels 16 and 17, Freya made her move on Belle. It caused massive chaos. I'm not going to explain what it was because you should read it. I don't want to be too spoilish. There are going to be spoilers, but I don't want to be too much. And the point is, at the end, it led to basically a stalemate between her and Hestia, where they agreed upon a war game. The catch is, Hestia is allowed to use any ally she wants. So odds are, it's going to be the Freya Familia versus the rest of Orario, led by Bel. Now, obviously, Bel is going to win the war game because there's no way he's going to be taken by Freya, which means Bel, somehow, in some way, is going to beat Ator, the undisputed champion, which means Bel, if he does that, will be recognized by the world as the champion of Orario, which means the one staying on top will be the Hestia Familia in Orario, but he's also the grandson of Hera, which means she has now the power to return to Orario. Freya won't really be able to force Hera out after losing to Bel, especially since the emotional weight of this entire war game. I'm not going to say what it is, but Hera's basically going to be done after this. Not as a villain, I mean. Not as a character, she's going to stick around, but as a villain, Hera's done. As for Loki will still have the power to get Hera out. The thing is, I think two things are going to happen. One, Bel is going to protect his grandmother, because it's Bel we're talking about. He's too nice of a guy. He isn't going to force the woman out. Once he learns the truth of his heritage, he's not going to join her, but he isn't going to force her out of Orario. And two, I have a feeling she's going to come with backup. She's probably going to come with Poseidon's Familia. So, it is revealed in Book 6 of Sword of Oratoria that the Poseidon Familia helped with the killing of Leviathan. And the reason why they did this is because they wanted to protect the oceans. See, Poseidon's Familia is heavy on protecting the seas of the oceans, because long ago, before they killed Leviathan and then used its skeleton as a magic item, as a seal to scare away monsters that were from exiting the dungeon through the water, that used to be a thing. They would take the waterways of the dungeon out into the sea, and the sea throughout the entire world, and the monsters that live in the sea are destroying the ecosystem of the oceans. And Poseidon's Familia basically goes all over the world, killing as many monsters as they can to protect the oceans, to save the sea, to save the fish life, to save everything and everything they can. Also, just to protect people who want to go out into the water. This is important because it is revealed in supplementary material, not in any of the novels, that there is another level 7 out there other than Otor. And this level 7 is actually stronger than Otor. Yes, the captain of the Poseidon Familia is most likely this level 7 that's stronger than Otor, which is an insane thing to say out loud. The thing is, I don't think this is going to end with a big fight between the captain of the Poseidon Familia and Bel. In fact, Otor might be the one who fights him and defeat him to become a level 8, possibly. But that's not the main thing. I don't think this is going to be a huge battle. I think this is going to have to be some kind of strategic strategy to get Hera to back down. But once again, they're going to have to go through the Poseidon Familia and also Hera's stubbornness and desire to basically take back her throne. And you know Zeus is going to get involved as well. So basically, the next arc, once after novel 18 is over, next 2-3 novels, after that will probably be dedicated to basically Bel's historical backstory of who he is, who his parents were, who his grandparents are, and the fact that Hera is basically just trying to take over Orario once more. Because let's be honest, it's Hera. She is the queen of all goddesses. She is an empress. The only person who has the right to refer to himself as an empress. And that key to her power is Bel. She will make plenty of gods and goddesses submit to her will just by her presence alone. Like, Loki and Freya do this all the time, but Hera? I think Hera can do that just by showing up, and the other gods and goddesses who are weaker than her will just bow down. They will surrender to her immediately. I think Orario will fall in a matter of hours, let alone days, if she returns, when she returns. And there's really nothing Bel can do to stop her, because he can't hurt her, because he's a part of her familia, but he can't join her either, because he's not going to be willing to, let this woman take over Orario. Which is why I said Zeus will most likely have to return, because I think he's the only man, the only individual, really, that will be able to stop Hera. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking the next volume after 18 is going to be. It is going to be the Hera arc. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Danmachi and other anime things. Thank you and have a great day.